And I'll tell you something, brothers and sisters. From our experience, I can't refer to any particular scientific articles about it, but I have, subhanAllah, I went online and found a plethora of amazing literature and studies that have been done about dry fasting. Dry fasting is what we do, and that is, it means when you don't even drink water. That's called dry fasting. From dawn, from when Fajr first arrives until sunset, called dry fasting. I read a plethora of literature, mashallah, and I always encourage my brothers and sisters really to become more scientifically literate. I've seen so many failures online with some of our Muslims go out in the open and they face people who know their science and try to bring verses of the Quran and things about fasting when they haven't really studied it. They don't know really what the scientific approach. And they say it to them, and they face people who know their science, and they get actually, they lose. They think they won. But when I'm listening, I say, man, you really stuffed up there. You got to really review. I wish Muslims can become more scientifically literate, because we live in a world like that today. And if you can't, at least don't try to talk about it unless you know it or ask. Anyway, lots of literature was done about the emotional and spiritual benefits of fasting. And the ones I go for are the ones that are peer-reviewed. I don't know if you know what that means, peer-reviewed. They're among the strongest, or at least the most trusted, these are the ones that scientists go for. Peer-reviewed studies. And there are studies about emotional intelligence, which really got my attention. Emotions. And I will call them also spiritual intelligence if you put your iman with it. And when you go through Ramadan, the experience is, in the beginning, you do feel fatigued. That's because the body is shocked. And so your blood pressure goes down, especially if you're not drinking, especially if it's a hot day. Your blood sugar goes down. And so you do get a headache as a result of lack of glucose, lack of sugar. 2, 3 days, 4 days, your body starts to adapt. When it adapts, things start changing in your body. Your immune system starts to work. And so it starts to develop itself. And when your immune system develops itself, that second stage, you also still feel a little bit of tiredness, but the headache starts to go away, so it's less. In the third stage, your immune system has now begun the attack on your toxins that are inside your body, such as bacteria that's left behind, microbes, even viruses that are left behind, something called cytokines. I don't know if you know what that is, but they are, chemicals that your immune system, that is a message with your immune system when it goes to fight off infections in your body, but then they stay there and it becomes toxic and becomes chronic. The immune system starts to eat those away. And with your fasting, you are starving them as well. So you go through this process where your body starts to adapt. SubhanAllah, by about the last 10 days of Ramadan, your body is so adapt to fasting, your energy levels balance out and you feel you can do more. From our experience we see, and obviously it's different from every person to another, your health situation. When the last 10 days come, what did the Prophet ﷺ say to do? Increase or decrease? Increase. And Allah knows, and His Messenger ﷺ knows, that the body has adapted now, and the energy levels are a little bit better. And so the last 10 nights, get yourself into it. And really do see that happening with us, alhamdulillah. And that's why I think at the end of the 10 nights, our energy levels are better. And so we go back to fighting about the moon sighting. And before Ramadan, our energies are high, we fight about the moon sighting. And then we think, okay, it's depleted, we're tired, we're fatigued. And when you're fatigued, your emotional intelligence is better. Why? If you do it for the right reasons. You start to tame yourself. You know that fight you had with your wife, or with your husband, or with your children, or with your parents, or with your neighbor, or with that person who cut you off on the street, or that person who's not moving and you want to beat your horn and swear at them, or at the shopping center, carts are in front of you. In Ramadan, that's going to increase, especially in the first few days, especially when the anxiety hits right before Maghrib and you're still out and there's traffic. It's like something's really terribly going to go wrong if you don't make it exactly by Maghrib to have that first bite. SubhanAllah. But if you can change that mindset a little bit and prepare yourself from now and say, you know what, see what I do there? I looked at last Ramadan, these are the things I was doing wrong. This time, I am not going to lose myself. I am not going to lose my patience if I'm late to an iftar. If my family made me late or whatever, I'm going to take my time. And I'm going to have maybe a bottle of water in my car or a couple of dates. I'll break my fast simply and inshallah eat. And I'm going to tell you something, brothers and sisters. Your emotional intelligence starts getting better and stronger, and you have stronger control over yourself if you can resist and get better while you are fasting. Just like when you shock your muscle, it grows because you got it used to strong resistance. And you get stronger after that. And how much How proud do you feel about yourself? And same with your character, insha'Allah ta'ala. My brothers and sisters, I go on to the health benefits and then your questions. Now, as you know, my background is science, so I like talking about the scientific aspects. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because we do live in a Western society, and because on social media a lot, now there are lots of non-Muslims and people who try to find problems in Islam and Ramadan and fasting and say, you people are crazy, look at you, you fast and you get dehydrated, surely that's bad, this is silly to fast. But then we look and we think, hold on a minute, there are more than nearly 2 billion Muslims around the world, at least 3/4 of them fast every year, and we've been doing it for 1,400 years. Come on, where are the people who are dying of fasting? Where are the people who are getting dehydrated and ending up in the graves? No, we don't hear these things. Alhamdulillah, Muslims are thriving. So it's not fasting, it's other factors. So it's a pretty silly response for someone to say something without thought. So let's have a look at some of the peer-reviewed literature and studies that we found. And I like taking information, if you want, from a place called NCBI, which is the National Center for Biotechnology Information, also from Science Direct, which is a peer-reviewed literature. And I found many articles. One is called Dawn to Dusk, Dry Fasting Decreases Circulating Inflammatory Cytokines, which are pro-inflammations, in subjects with increased body mass index. Body mass index, BMI, is just another word for a measurement of how much fat you have and how much low fat you have that may lead to health problems. And this is peer-reviewed in 2024. So, people are talking about this. You got another one which says the effects of daytime dry fasting on hydration, glucose metabolism, and all of them concluded that there is no harm on a person from any effects of dehydration because of fasting. Every single one of these articles said something good about it, alhamdulillah. And I'll tell you what, this is interesting.